Okay, folks, so once again I had to do some major reinventing here. This is the second base plate that I've had, and I had to make a hole in it because I wasn't sure if the tool had to go above the table, but it did. So I made a hole. I know it's pretty ragged. I used a magnetic drill and a jigsaw because I can't cut a hole 2 3/4 wide. The cutter itself is 2 1/4, so the hole has to be larger than the tool. Makes sense, right? And I also had the bearing blocks moved inward, which left me 1.5 inch overhang of the plate. And then I realized if I have 1.5 inch overhang on both sides of the plate, that's going to kill 3 inches of travel on the x-axis. So I did not want that. So what I did was I made sort of another plate. I'll show you that right now. I mean, that plate was nasty. It had holes all over it. It looks ridiculous. I also had to remake the end plates. That's the old one. That's the new one. I had to move the wheels around a couple of times. Extra holes here. It looks terrible. And then I actually had to make them a little wider to accommodate an adjustable fence that you'll see down the line. So let's take a look at this new plate. So this is my new plate. I don't have to drill a hole. The hole's already there. This is made from 1/4 inch thick steel, 4 inches wide, and the total dimension is 14 by 14. Now I just put weld beads on the bottom. I didn't want to put a full bead because I didn't want to distort it. And then I have it tacked on the ends as well. There's a slight bit of curvature, but I don't think that's a big deal. Now how I made this, and this was tricky in itself because you want to get 4 parts square. So what I did is I took a piece of 1/4 inch wood, put it on the bottom, and it's not going into place now because of the weld, but that kept these 2 pieces parallel. And then I took a piece of another wood 6 inches wide and fit it between that, and that made these 2 pieces parallel. So that came out pretty nice. It's not exactly even. There's a little overhang on the sides. That's because it's probably not exactly square, but that's not going to be a big deal. What I'm going to do is I'm not going to reference the bearings from the edges. I'm going to reference them from the inside instead of the outside. So something like that. All right, folks. I'm going to do a little bit more machining on this plate, and then I'm going to remount the bearing blocks. So here it is, folks, the new carriage plate. Got a nice big hole in it. It's 14 by 14. This replaces the 16 by 16, and this way I get 4 extra inches of travel on the x-axis. Now I could have maybe made it 13 inches, but I don't want to take a chance. This is my third plate. 3 times is a charm. I have some filler pieces here. This thing is so heavy. I have some filler pieces here on the side, and that just fills the space so that the router will sit completely flat. And I don't know if you can see, but I have 4 dowel pins here, and all that does is it sets the router exactly where it needs to be. So that way you can't hit a piece of metal with the tool. And I have these 2 dogs or setup clamps, whatever you want to call them. I have one right there, and I have one on the opposite side, and that's going to secure the router to the plate. Those have a hold down strength of 8,000 pounds apiece, so that router is not going anywhere. Okay folks, I'm beat.